really easy as horse riders to get into that overwhelmed, stuck state where you feel you're not bringing anything to the party, you're letting your horse down, you're letting yourself down, and then it just seems to go on a spiral of negativity. And that phase can be really hard to get out of. You feel stuck in it for ages, you keep ruminating all day about it, you go back out to the paddock and you still can't get the thing done. And all you see all around you and feel and hear is negativity. And it's really important during this stage is just take a step back from that moment. It's one of those things that is obvious when you think about it. There are a lot more positives there than you often realize. And it's learning how to reframe and reconsider in those situations rather than going into that spiral of negativity and all the things you're doing wrong. Think of the things you're doing right. And the first and simplest one is that you're showing up. Like if you are ruminating about all those things and you are struggling with those things and yet you're still showing up, that's a huge positive. Like you can't make it better, you can't make a difference if you don't show up. So the fact that you are showing up is a big thing. Then also we've got to make sure we don't project our negative thoughts or our human emotions of I'm letting my horse down onto our horse and thinking that's its emotions. It's being let down by my rider. I mean, the horse obviously can get frustrated a little by you if you're giving mixed signals or you're confused yourself and you're not sure which way you want to go forward, but it's not feeling let down by you. So that's one emotion that we want to make sure that we take away. And if we can show up, then we can start to think, well, where is this breaking down? Is it breaking down because the skill itself is not possible? Is it the environment that I'm putting myself in? Is it how I'm warming up? Is it the connection to that warm up? Have I progressed too quickly? Have I just simply not understood it? Or importantly, sometimes if I've never felt the thing before, how should it feel and how it look? Have I got the right support on the ground to help me understand what I'm doing, and are there any mixed signals? So we often get caught up in the negativity and feeling overwhelmed and feeling unsure and then feeling totally stuck by something. And then of course we ruminate by it all. Whereas if we flip that around, well, what are the things I'm doing well? One of the basic things is, let's say, showing up. And then it is making sure I can look at it in the big picture rather than in that small insular world that we get into. And also, what things am I layering on emotionally that really don't matter? Like, am I understanding skill? Is my horse understanding the aids? Am I applying the aids? Am I being consistent with those sort of things? And if I'm getting it right once, I don't necessarily have to repeat it 10 times initially. I have to repeat it once and get it there and then reward and move away. Once I practice it a little bit more, and once I get a little bit better at something, then it's down to repetition. Then it's making sure I can repeat it, and then it's repeating it under pressure. But am I giving myself the best context of getting it right in the first place? And what is considered right? Like, is it a foundational thing that a little step of right, or is it the whole thing has to be right to be worthy of my self-congratulation and my self-reward? Sometimes we've got to, if something is breaking down, we'll make sure we reward all the small steps that make up that full package, and reward each one of those, and then pause and walk away from it, and then come back to it and do the next step again, and keep repeating it that way, rather than if there's 5 or 6 integral steps that make up a movement, if I'm getting 7 of them right, make sure I'm rewarding myself and my horse for that, and then slowly keep working on the 8th step of it. But understanding that 7/8 is almost there, rather than thinking the whole thing is a total disaster. So making sure as a rider, we reframe rather than get stuck in that unmotivated spiraling where we feel that we're not bringing anything to what we're trying to do. And also making sure we're not projecting our own emotions and our own disappointment, towards the horse, our partner. Is it catching on our disappointment, or is it actually responding and listening to our aids? So take a step back, reframe, and be a little kinder with yourself in the fact that you're at least showing up and that you're at least trying to nut it out. So not everything is lost. And if I have to take a step back and make sure my foundational skills are all as I thought they were, rather than sometimes where you've moved through a step or two and you didn't realize that the foundation wasn't as strong as you thought it was, that's okay. It's not a race to the finish line. It's about progression, and it's about being in harmony with your horse. And we can sometimes lose track of that when we get fixated on a goal or on a movement or on a skill progression. So take a breath, take a pause, reframe your thoughts, think about what the skills that you are bringing and what the things that you are doing well, because sometimes it all does feel really negative and overwhelming. Make sure you're getting advice from people that are on the ground and can look and say, look, what you think you're doing and what's actually happening and how the horse is responding isn't the way that you're thinking, that sequence of events is happening. Where is the deficit in the training? And also making sure that your emotional equilibrium is about being in harmony with your horse and getting your horse to understand, good or bad, what is the aid I'm trying to use here. So then you can break it down into that. And both of you, your reward, go back to rewarding every little step in the process. So if you're really struggling, with step 5, make sure you reward it and acknowledge that step 1, 2, 3, and 4 are on the right track. And then I can separate that last piece of the puzzle by itself and not let the tension of the failure of step 5 influence now step 1, 2, 3, and 4. So it's very understandable to get blocked and to get frustrated and to feel overwhelmed with emotions and then ruminate and everything is terrible and I'm letting my horse down and I'm letting myself down and it's not possible and Sally next door can do it and I can't and everyone on YouTube I see can. Yeah, but it doesn't matter, because it's you and your horse, you and your story. It's you and how you've come to this picture, this moment in time, and how you respond to those emotions and whether they're influencing you for the better or they're keeping you held back. So it's if you're training and doing anything that's different and anything that's progression, there's always going to be mistakes. There's always going to be misunderstandings. There's always going to be setbacks. That's not a reflection that suddenly you're a bad person or that you're not the right rider for this horse. It's how we respond and whether we let that negative emotion not only overwhelm ourselves, but then flows into our partner. So understand what you're trying to do. Take a step back. Realize the strengths that you're actually bringing to the situation. And one of those is the fact that you're resilient and you're still trying. You're still showing up. That in itself is good. But sometimes showing up and then taking the pressure off is just as good a skill, because we're looking at it intellectually and go, okay, the pressure has built up too much. I need to take a step back from this a little bit. And I need to ground myself a little bit. I need to get my horse relaxed in the environment again. And I need to get myself relaxed in the environment again. And all those things can add up to then the task that you're trying to set or the skill you're trying to set, going a little pear-shaped. But think of it as a moment in time, not about the fact that, all is lost. You're just acquiring data. You're just acquiring an understanding of how I react to pressure, how my horse reacts to pressure, how it operates in certain environments, how we operate in certain environments. And a good rider is understanding all those different things that make up our personality and our partnership. So instead of being really harsh and ruminating and thinking all is failed, I've acquired this data now and now I know that I'm going to try it this way. Or now I know I need to take a step back. Not all is lost, and I need to make sure these foundational skills or these situational awareness is better. The biggest thing is that we allow ourselves a moment to step away from the storm, knowing whether it's our storm, sometimes it's our horse's storm for any number of reasons, and sometimes it's literally our storm. So both of us are feeding off each other and we're both triggering each other. So understand whose storm it is, understand whether my emotions are influencing my actions and influencing the way I can use my skills and the way I can use my position even and the way I communicate with my horse. And then nut it out. Use your intelligence to understand the problem, sometimes more than the reaction and more than all the noise that is set up by it. I hope this little thought helps you become unstuck and take a step back. Tell me about the problems that you have and how you allowed yourself to pause and also sometimes acknowledging all the things that I did do well, all the things that I was bringing to this, because I'm always in a learning state, whether just as a rider, as managing my horse, as a horseman, as those skills, and also as a partnership, because at the end of the day, it is a partnership. I can have all the skills in the world, my horse can have all the abilities in the world, but if we can't put it together in this moment, then we have to learn a workaround. How do I best come at that? Hope you like this. Like and subscribe. Take care. Be kind to yourself. Be kind to the partnership. And I'll catch you on the next video.